Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
All right, welcome to the show where we interview the nation's leading real estate entrepreneurs and service providers to the real estate space. Welcome back to the show. If you've been with us before, it's Stephen Schmidt here, and I am with attorney Blake Harris. Today we're going to be talking about asset protection and his entrepreneurial journey. So at Investor Fuel, just keep in mind, we help real estate investors, service providers, and real estate entrepreneurs 2 to 5x their businesses to allow them to build the businesses they've always wanted, to allow them to live the lives they've always dreamed of. Now, if you're joining us today, you can see that my friend, my new friend, who is in the law practice space, has a wonderful jacket on here that we got to talk about at the beginning of the show. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome you. Thanks for being here, and tell us a little bit about how you got into this space.
Well, Stephen, thank you very much for that introduction. It's an honor to be here. It's an honor to be able to speak to all of your listeners and viewers. What I do is I help my clients position themselves so that in the event that they ever go through a lawsuit or a divorce, their assets remain protected. As far as my background is concerned, it goes, I think, back to when I was a child. I was in kindergarten, and each day the teacher would give us $1 for, our parents would give us $1 to buy lunch, and then the teacher would collect that dollar. I learned as a kindergartner, if you didn't have your dollar, they would still serve you lunch. So after about a month of me not having that dollar, the school called my parents. Parents said, "I don't know what you're talking about. Blake has been getting $1 every single day." And then I come to school one day and find the cubby that I'd stored all my hard-earned cash had been taken from me. And at that moment, I realized accumulating wealth is really of no value if you can't protect that money. So I ended up going to law school. I was inspired by a very good trust professor, although his comments were this: don't ever set up an offshore trust. And I said to him after class, why would you say such a thing? And his response was, don't set up an offshore trust unless certain criteria is met. And I was like, okay, you continue to teach the rest of the law students not to set up offshore trust. I'm going to be the one who goes into this industry. And then shortly after I graduated law school, I worked for another trust firm and then started my own. And when I started my own, my office was located a few blocks away from another attorney's office. His name was Barry Engel. Barry Engel was the OG in the offshore industry. He wrote the initial legislation that the Cook Islands passed back in the 1980s. And then he was very much a mentor of mine for many years, taught me a lot about the industry and how to do this type of work. I then got out and I traveled. I've traveled to almost 50 different countries. I met with trust companies, bankers, protectors all throughout the world. I've developed a global network, which I don't think anybody else in the industry comes close to in terms of our ability to have service providers, and not just service providers, but the best service providers throughout the world for asset protection planning. So my firm, we focus exclusively on offshore asset protection planning. We work with the clients throughout the world. The majority of the clients that come to us are here in the United States because, well, here in the United States is the land of the lawsuit.
Wow. So you went from being in kindergarten, 5, 6 years old, and somebody stole your kindergarten cash from you that you just thought, oh, well, I'm going to get the thing one way or another. And then that sparked man, how do I keep what I get? And then we ended up here now.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
Exactly. And there's a lot of different adults who have done a great job accumulating wealth, building big businesses. But I can tell you, a few hours of asset protection planning can do more for a family than decades of working.
Wow. Now, tell me a little bit about this, because most of the people that are listening to the show, entrepreneurs, people that are building, are investing, are trying to accumulate, and many of them are in that accumulation phase, right, of life. So with that, like, who is asset protection maybe not for? Or would you recommend everybody has a consultancy or something like that
Well,
with someone
I
else?
mean, asset protection is for anyone who has assets, is the short version of that.
Right.
The type of planning that I do, it generally starts out with clients whose net worth is around 1 million.
Okay.
And while some of our clients are very wealthy, deca and a few centimillionaires, most of our clients have between about $1 and $10 million in assets. We do have a handful of clients whose net worth is a little bit under $1 million. But to justify setting up an offshore trust, to put up that level of protection, to prepare for the level of threat that would be coming at you, because if you've got $50,000, no attorney is going to be really aggressive about coming after you. But if your net worth gets to $2, $3, $4, $5 million, that becomes very appetizing for a plaintiff attorney. So the majority of clients we work with their net worth is somewhere between about 1 and 10, or maybe $2 to $20 million in assets. As far as the other parameters we look at, it's the optics of the situation. Is the client clean? Are there any pending litigation? And it's definitely better to do the asset protection before any pending litigation arises. But if it's a minor claim, maybe there's insurance that can cover that claim. We may still be able to use a trust to protect against future litigation. And we might be able to do a little bit of damage mitigation from the current situation. Also, the client's background. Now, if the client has DUI or pot possession in their background, trust companies don't care about those type of incidences. But if you have been involved in money laundering or drug trafficking, you're not going to be able to get on board with the trust company. So as long as it's a relatively clean background and a relatively clean current situation, and their net worth is more than $1 million, we can do a lot to put them in a better position.
Love that. So now with that, what are some of the differences between like offshore trust versus domestic?
So there's a very simple difference. One of those trusts that you just mentioned, either the offshore or the domestic, I'm going to let you guess which one. One of those trusts can be broken by a U.S. court. Do you want to guess which that is, Stephen?
Probably the one that's within the bounds of the United States.
You're not just handsome, you're smart as well, Stephen. So yes, you're absolutely correct. Under Article 4, Section 3 of the U.S. Constitution, every single state must give full faith and credit to the court orders and judgments of every other state. So just because you've created a trust in one state doesn't mean that another state who has a court order against you could use that and enforce that court order to break the trust. We have seen case law in many situations where domestic trusts have been compromised. I will confess, early in my career, I set up a few domestic asset protection trusts. For the past several years, we've only done offshore trust. But when we have had to negotiate using a domestic trust, the leverage is very weak. It's much weaker than an offshore trust. With a domestic trust, plaintiff attorneys know that if they push hard enough, if they are relentless, there's a pretty good chance that they're going to be able to break into that trust. Now, if you have a trust that is offshore, a U.S. attorney can't even bring a case there. They have to be licensed in the Cook Islands or Nevis or Belize or one of the jurisdictions we would set up a trust. And what we've seen is not only are plaintiffs much more willing to talk settlement and take a smaller settlement offer, but in some cases, plaintiffs find out that they would have to go up against an offshore trust, and they'll simply drop the case from the very beginning.
Okay.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency, it's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
So now maybe it's just my thought process here, but for someone that might be a little less cerebral than you and I, but they's rich, you know what I mean? How does that like affect them like in the real world? Like what are some of those ways that they are protected? Who are some of the people that might be coming after their assets? What does that look like for somebody in those situations, like in the real world?
So the three most common types of lawsuits. Number one, business disputes, whether this is an employee who gets upset, a supplier, a partner, somebody you've invested with, or somebody who's invested with you for whatever reason. Business disputes are very common. You want to have well-drafted contracts. You want to have ADR, alternative dispute resolution, in all of your contracts as well. You want to treat your employees and customers with care because that all helps to reduce your chance of being sued. But if you're successful enough in business and life, chances are someone's going to want to bite at that success. And I consider it a badge of success in the United States. If you're successful enough with business, if you're successful enough, you can expect to be sued. The other type of lawsuit, which is quite common, accidents, often car accidents or somebody injuring themselves on a piece of real estate that you own. And the third, and now this is not going to be the most romantic advice you've ever heard, Stephen, but that's to sign a prenup or postnuptial agreement. Sure. Deciding who gets what while the water's calm is definitely much cheaper than fighting it out in court once people have gone in different directions. However, prenuptial and postnuptial agreements are frequently disregarded, so it is much safer to have your assets owned by an offshore trust or do a combination of a prenuptial agreement and an offshore trust for the best protection.
Okay. So now, why is that? Like, if somebody puts like a prenup in place, which I mean, personally, my wife and me and my wife both are like, hey, we actually want to put one in place. Now, we don't really have a whole lot to protect right now, so we just haven't gotten around to doing a postnup. But we're on the same page of like, hey, if we can keep, it's not even from the principle of like us expecting our marriage to fail necessarily, but we look at it as like, we want to keep the government out of our business. So, and that's the best way that we can do it, where we can say, hey, if in the off chance something happens, we end things on our terms right now while we're good, you know? Just so that way the kids are protected, we're protected, you know, all that kind of stuff. But with that, when you said that they can be disregarded, what does that mean exactly? Like a prenup or postnup being disregarded?
So family law courts can sometimes be very result oriented. And although there's the law in place, although there's a prenuptial agreement in place, if a court decides that it's not fair what was written and that they have a better solution for what would be just than what's on paper, they frequently disregard prenuptial agreements. It is important that it's properly drafted, that each of you have your own attorney, that each of your own attorneys signs off on the prenuptial or postnuptial agreement. However, if a court wants to break a domestic structure, a domestic agreement, they have the power to do so, and they do exercise that power from time to time.
Wow, really? So having the offshore trust then is a further layer of protection for that relationship, like in that situation then?
Yes, or it is the protection, correct?
Okay, I gotcha. Yeah, absolutely. So, and is there any specific advice other than like just don't get sued? Is there any specific advice for when you start becoming successful? Like you said, the badge of success. Is there anything people can do to just avoid it altogether? Is it pretty much inevitable if you just hit a level of success? Like it's just going to happen? What can
Well,
people
I mean,
expect?
you can always be in a better position. There's always the best move on the chessboard, and
Yeah.
don't live flashy. Don't advertise your wealth to anybody beyond those who need to know about it.
Right.
If you're driving a car, as most of us in America are, buy as much car insurance as your agent will sell you. Insurance is a helpful buffer between your assets and a creditor. However, insurance claims are often denied. Some claims go beyond policy limits. Some are not covered. It is definitely wise to have insurance, but don't rely on the insurance alone. And then simply make yourself an unattractive target to sue.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
And by owning nothing and controlling everything via your trust, you're going to be in a very good position to either avoid being sued, be an unappetizing target, or negotiate with some power in the event that you are sued.
Yeah, absolutely. And so with an offshore trust, because I am pretty familiar with the concept of owning nothing but controlling everything, right? So how in these types of situations, like when you're getting sued, for example, and you're trying to be an unattracted target, right? What type of protections, privacy protections, are in place, like with an offshore, compared to domestic, if any?
Well, interesting enough, the offshore trust companies are better regulated and supervised than the domestic trust companies. The trust companies in these various countries that we work with, the trust industry is a vital part of their economy, and they guard it very well and very closely. On top of that, when it comes to actually taking cash or a brokerage account and moving that under the trust, we don't typically use Cook Islands, though we do in some cases. We'll typically use Switzerland. And with Switzerland, you have a safer banking system than you do in the United States. They keep much more cash on hand. They engage in a lot less risky activity. And so what we're able to provide our clients is the best of both worlds. Best asset protection, typically Cook Islands, Nevis, or Belize, combined with the best banking system in Switzerland. And this is where our clients really get the utmost peace of mind. Along with that, when you work with my firm, and we have very likely set up more offshore trust than any other law firm over the past few years. Not only do you get access to myself and our team of providers, you also get our experience where we have never once had a client lose a penny from the trust. You get the utmost peace of mind that if anything comes your way, you know that you are being taken care of by the most reputable people in the industry.
What moments do you have within that business that just make you go, damn, I love this? What are those moments for you?
Okay, here's one. I received a call from a client few months ago at this point. He hired us maybe 5 years ago, maybe 7 years ago at this point, a while back, and he went through some time. It was quite a process that he was going back and forth negotiating, not knowing what the plaintiff was going to do. They had a fairly aggressive plaintiff, and ultimately it got resolved without the client needing to pay anything. Now, I do tell clients this is not a structure for avoiding paying unless it's a BS claim. If it's a BS claim, if it's a bogus claim, I say don't pay anything. But if it's a legitimate claim, I say pay something, but pay something reasonable. And this was one where I was actually advising the client make some settlement offer. They held back against my advice, which clients are allowed to do, and ultimately the plaintiff just ended up dropping their case. They just wore down. They just wore down so much. The client calls me up and says, "Blake, the trust did exactly what you said it was going to do." That felt very good. And knowing that he and his wife are going to go into a much safer, more comfortable retirement because of working with my firm, that was a really wildly awesome moment. And I love when I hear that, when we get the client to the results. I also love when clients say, we haven't had to use the trust yet, but it has brought me so much peace of mind, so much confidence. I'm not running my business based on fear anymore. I sleep better at night. I am an attorney by trade, but very much a healer by my heart. And if I can calm people's anxiety and let them go about their personal relationships better because they're not stressing over some lawsuit, that's a wonderful thing. And on top of that, I don't know how many wonderful moments I get to list as an answer to this question. But I very much love what I do every single day. I work with people from all throughout the world. I've got an awesome team at my law firm where we get things done. We do good work for clients, and don't take my word for it. We've got reviews you can check out. I think we've got over 70 Google reviews. I believe everyone's a 5 out of 5 stars. And it's just fun getting to work with people from all over the world. And the client base we work with is overwhelmingly great. They're entrepreneurs, they're forward thinking, they are generally very great to work with. So it's been quite a journey building the business I have. It's been something that's really taken my full time and commitment for the past 10 plus years, but I absolutely loved it, and I'm very excited for what's to come ahead.
Love that. Yeah, I like what you said there. That phrase you said, where you're an attorney by trade but a healer at heart. So really, your business is almost a mission for you as well, is what it sounds like.
Um, well, I will say that freedom, which I think is a very important thing. I don't think people even understand what freedom means. To me, freedom is not getting to do what you want to do. Freedom is not having to do the things you don't want to do. And money is very much the gateway to freedom. And freedom does not exist. Money does not exist without protection. And we're very much helping to keep our clients free to have a comfortable retirement, to send their kids to the schools they want to send their kids to do the things they want to do in their every single day life. I will be fair. I'm running a business, and I do want to be able to support my business with it. And I don't know that I would say that setting up offshore trust is necessarily my passion, though I do love it and enjoy it. I would say I'm more passionate maybe about my Muay Thai hobbies and traveling and some other things that I do and my children.
I love that's awesome. Man, I have never heard it put the way you put it. Freedom isn't because you hear that everywhere. Doing what you want, when you want, with who you want, like that's the dream and whatever else. But you put it so in the same exact way, but so different, where you said freedom is avoiding doing the things you don't want to do. And I've
Correct.
never thought of it like that. And I'm like, man, that is so true. Because how many
It's
people truly get to a point where they can do whatever they want, whenever they want, with whoever they want, and still potentially might have to do a bunch of things they don't want to?
correct. And becoming successful at something you don't want to be successful at is one of the greatest curses. Having a 50-year marriage with the wrong person is not what you want to
Mm,
do. It's not about getting things and having more things. It's really about being content with what you have and having the ability to say no.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Now you mentioned Muay Thai and some other passions. You also have one of the things we spoke about before the show, Blake, was you had said you have a goal to be the coolest attorney on social media. So, which you said, admittedly, there's not a high bar for that per se. But where does that come from? And tell me about some of these hobbies that would just feed through to your incredible personality and figure here.
Well, Stephen, I appreciate you saying that. I don't know that everyone agrees with that, but I think a few people may be on board with you. Well, I'm going to just kind of just roll back the clocks a little bit to when I graduated law school about 15 years ago. They told me I had to get a job, so I went and got a job. I put on a suit and a tie every single day, and I really had no idea what I was talking about, like most new attorneys. As I got farther into my career and I got more comfortable with what I was doing, and I narrowed my practice to just doing offshore trust, and I got to the point where we can do what we do while we're sleeping. It's very much down to a science. And when you're very comfortable in what it is that you're doing, that you're selling, that you're talking about, the services you're providing, the other people in your network that you work with, once you get to that point, it becomes fun. I work with a great team both internally and externally, and clients come to me because they want peace of mind. And if I'm a real stressed out, nervous seeming attorney that doesn't seem like he can take care of his own life, people aren't going to trust me. And it's very important that I communicate that trust. And I do that by doing things that make me respect myself more. Yes, taking care of our work, responding quickly to clients, making sure that every client, as much as possible, has a great experience with them. And then beyond that, living a life that matches what I do for work and matches my clientele. I spend about half my time here in Miami, beautiful Miami Beach, and I spend about half my time traveling around the country to go on podcasts to promote and educate other attorneys on how to do this type of work. I have taught in lots of continuing education classes to other attorneys in the field and meeting with people internationally who can help provide more value to our client base. As I mentioned, yes, I do a bit of Muay Thai kickboxing. It is very much a great thing to do for self-respect. I find that I respect myself
Mm.
more. Then once I've thrown 1,000 punches early in the morning, nothing's going to come up during the day that upsets me. It's a very calming routine, and that calmness comes through on phone calls with potential clients and current clients. And I think that's been that demeanor that I have, it has its ripples with the rest of my team and out to the client base that we work with. And I'm not just trying to grow a large client base, though I'm trying to grow a good client base. And the type of
Sure.
energy you put out is very much the type of energy that you bring in.
You bet. Yeah, because like, you know, just first looking at you, you seem like you would be way less calm and collected as you are. Like when you're talking, you speak with such confidence compared to this amazing, incredible, like flared look that you procure, and yet you're just like cool, calm, collected, and I love the energy that you put off. Now, was that an exaggeration of 1,000 punches, or are you literally throwing 1,000 punches every morning?
Well, so it's maybe 3 or 4 days a week, depending on my travel
Okay,
schedule. You've got an hour in there. I think some mornings I may hit 1,000, but Muay Thai is not just hands. You've got
yeah,
elbows, you've knees, you've got kicks as well. I
sure.
think the entire compilation, most classes we might get close to that number. I might be a little I might be exaggerating a little bit on that.
Okay, well, either way, still, I was like doing kind of the math in my head. I'm like, oh no, that's kind of realistic, maybe depending on how long you're doing it for. But so and what got you into that? Like, how did you find Muay Thai, and choose that as a martial art form?
Well, I think that a lot of the things that we do as adults are a reaction to things that went on in our childhood.
Mm,
And I was never a particularly big person as a child. And though I don't think I got picked on a lot, I definitely felt like I was one of the smaller ones for portions of the childhood growing up. And then
sure.
as I got old enough and had the time and to go after this activity. I fell into it. I fell in with a great coach and a great team, and it's very much motivated me to keep going. And as I do it, I mean, I will say most days as I'm walking up to the gym, I'm saying, why am I going to get punched and kicked and come out of here with bruises? But really, there's been nothing that's elevated my self-respect and confidence like getting in there and talking about flow state. When you
Mm,
are faced with somebody who's 6'2" coming at you trying to knock you out, you're not concerned about a client who's upset. You're not worried about, is this person going to get back to me? You're not worried about anything else. You are there in the moment. And it's a really great experience when you can really get deep and focused into one thing, one activity, and
mm.
it feels good. I guess I like it because it feels good.
You bet. So now, let me ask you this as we're kind of coming up on our time here together. If you had to go back to the beginning, because it sounds like this is almost like a life mission of yours. I mean, since kindergarten, right? You were like, how am I going to protect my assets, right? Which is that's such a great story. But if you had to go back to the beginning, going through law school, starting your practice, all that, and really like put yourself in those shoes again, but you had all the experience you currently have today. What would you do different, and what would you do the same?
I would have bought Bitcoin.
Oh yeah,
If I knew what I knew now 15 years ago, I wouldn't have started the law practice. I would have robbed anyone I could have and bought Bitcoin. Okay, let's
really?
edit. Let me give a different answer. Stephen, it's hard to say. I mean, I can't say that I would have done things different because you kind of have to make mistakes to learn from them.
Sure.
It's hiring and firing. I believe I've always done a very good job of putting the client first and making sure everyone got a good client experience. And that has been really the key driving force behind my law firm. And
Mm,
that is something that I will say I've done well. And if I could go back in time, I'd say do that, focus on the client experience. Don't focus on the money. If you take care of the clients, the money will come. Beyond that, as far as mistakes I've learned from, hire slow, fire fast. If you don't think it's
mm,
going to work out with somebody, you've got to be ready to take off that band-aid. Doing business requires having tough conversations. I would say that what has set me apart, and I do believe the law firm I've grown is much more successful than most of my school classmates. I don't know how everyone's doing. There's no way to rank, but I'm confident that where my firm is, it's well ahead of any other of my, probably ahead of any other peers of mine from law school. It hasn't been intelligent, though I may be blessed with some level of intelligence. A lot of law students and attorneys are very smart and some much more brilliant than I am. It has been courage, the courage to go after an area of law which is very hard to break into, which is hard to get clients in, as opposed to a car accident or a divorce attorney, and persistence. I started the law firm about over a decade ago, and during that time, there have been highs and there have been lows, and during the lows, you keep going. Other than a week ago when I took a spiritual retreat down to Costa Rica, I had never taken a full day off of work. I took a week off last Thanksgiving. It was great for me to unplug and come back rejuvenated. But it's the persistence. Speed is very important in business, and a lot of the clients that I've gotten over the years, it's probably because me and my team got back to them quicker than anyone else. So my advice is be courageous, and do things that build up your courage, whether it's Muay Thai, whether it's keeping close relationships with other people. Finding mentors has been very important. And as I've gotten farther into my career, it's become harder and sometimes even more expensive to access mentors. But seeking out the right people who you want to model yourself after and learn from is a very helpful step along the way. And then I also believe it's very important that you have some degree of fun. If you have a job that you hate, you're not going to work hard in it. And if you don't work hard at your job, you're not going to be successful.
True that. Man, well, Attorney Blake Harris, thank you so much for being here with us today on the Real Estate Pros podcast. If people want to connect with you for more, get a hold of you potentially, or even learn more about what you do with your law practice, where can they go to find you?
Very easy. Blake Harris Law, BlakeHarrisLaw.com. On TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, at Blake Harris Law.
Awesome. Sounds great. And just remember, he is the coolest attorney on social media, so I'm sure there's some treats that we're all in for once I go and check out those pages later, too. I'm looking forward to it.
I share a little bit of humor sometimes, too.
I love it. Well, Blake, thank you so much for being here today, and thank you all for listening. If it's your first time listening, feel free, and please make sure to subscribe, follow us for more, and to learn more about Investor Fuel, you can go to investorfuel.com. Hope you enjoyed today's show. We'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.